So have you ever had a friend come to you and say, here's a bunch of changes you need to make? Or have you ever been to a company meeting where he said, hey, here's some new changes. This is going to be great. This is going to be better. This is going to be improvement. What happens usually when you get in that position? Your blood pressure goes up and up and up. Just like, take me off that list. I don't want to change. I'm good. I don't want to do that. I don't want any more improvement. I'm maxed out improvement. I'm good now. No reason for any improvement. What if there was an easier way to go about improvement that wasn't so monumental or so overwhelming or so difficult? There is a way. Uh, I at the university studied business management, and some of the things we did, we studied different companies and how they succeeded, did case studies kind of things. But one of the things I remember from some of those classes is this philosophy that evolved after World War II. And there were some very successful companies out of Japan that were providing a product to the market that was very superior to what we were offering in the United States. In a lot of cases, they're still superior to what we have to offer. How'd they do this? How did they come out way ahead? It's a whole way of thinking to them, and they call this philosophy or this way of living really Kaizen, Kaizen, which means change for the better or continuous improvement. And so they take this philosophy that improvement is not a stationary point in time. It's not an award that you get for something you did 3 months ago. It's not something you put in your desk or an award you put on your wall. It's something you're continually doing throughout your whole life, and especially for them in an organization. At its core, Kaizen is driven by the belief that even extremely small incremental changes lead to significant improvements over time, and that all employees are empowered to bring even the smallest suggestions for change. Their key principles include respect for people, elimination of waste, continuous problem solving, and a unwavering commitment to quality. So because of Toyota was the first to adopt these ways of thinking, because of their success, Honda, Sony, Toshiba, Canon, Nissan, and even it spread here. There's many companies in the United States now, even McDonald's and Ford are taking these ideas and putting them into their processes. So Kaizen means improvement. Every place, everywhere, every time, everybody. There's no one that's really excluded. Everyone's encouraged. Can you take this philosophy, this way of thinking, and incorporate it into your life, where even just the most minimal, trivial change could, and it's that process, could lead to a much better life? Taking these very, very small steps. It's almost like it avoids your defense mechanisms, like, oh, no, I'm shutting down. I'm not doing that. There's a few quotes online I found from a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins that I thought was very good. And in the book, he talks about 11 Fortune 500 companies that within a 15-year period, they were just an average company. But the following 15 years, they had a transformation and they went from average to doing 7 times greater than the average company on the exchange, on the stock market. For 15 years, 7 times better. What was this transformation? How did they do it? And so this is a quote from the book, and he says, "We kept thinking we'd find one big thing, one miracle moment, the breakthrough. We even pushed for it in our interviews, but the good to great executive simply could not pinpoint a single key event or moment in time that exemplified the transition. Frequently, they even chafed against the whole idea of allocating points and prioritizing factors in every good to great company. At least one interviewee gave an impromptu admonishment saying something like, you can't dissect this thing into a series of nice little boxes, or factors, or identifying moments, or this aha moment, big thing. It's a whole bunch of interlocking pieces that built one upon another, no matter how dramatic the end result. The good transformation never happened all in one fell swoop. There was no single defining action, no grand program, no killer innovation, no solitary lucky break, no wrenching revolution. Good to great comes about by cumulative process. It's that process, step by step, action by action, decision by decision, turn by turn of the flywheel that adds up to sustained great results. And so we go from this notion, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, to the notion, by the yard, it's hard. By the inch, it's a cinch. So we've all heard these self-improvement books where they talk about, it's not the one day, it's the accumulative effect of all the days put together. One was Michael Jordan, a champion in one day, or did it take years and years of sacrifice? Matter of fact, Pat Riley said, anytime you stop striving to get better, you're bound to get worse. In life, there's no such thing as holding on to what you got. So, if we adopt this back to, our real life, our day-to-day life, let's say you're trying to find a job. Let's say you need a new job. The job you have now is not sufficient. What embarrassingly small step can you take today? Is it mentally too hard to go online and look at all the online job postings, LinkedIn, Indeed, all these different sites? Maybe it is. It's overwhelming. Maybe thinking about going on a job interview is like, I would rather have a root canal. I'd rather do something awful. I'd rather have the lawnmower run me over, whatever. But can we break it down into something very simple, very easy? Just spend a few minutes a day thinking about the perfect job, visualizing it. Maybe that's too much. I think about visualizing, finding the perfect job ad, and then applying, sending in your resume for that, and then having perfect interviews, a series of interviews that went perfectly. Visualize getting an offer. Just let that sit in your mind. Visualize. Let it work overnight while you sleep. Let your mind work on it. I promise you, as you devote your time to this, you will get a sudden idea. Go check this website. Call this friend. Talk to that person about their job. It happened for me. I knew I needed a new job. This is years ago. And I spent time and time just thinking, and doing what I could. And suddenly I had this idea. I need to check a website I hadn't checked for a long time. And there was a perfect job opportunity that I knew was for me. And I ended up getting that job. And it was a great job that challenged me. And it was a gift. It was a gift from God because I did my part. I was trying to do everything I could. But it starts very small. It doesn't have to be difficult. Make it easy. Make it embarrassingly easy. You know, if you want to stop smoking, stop drinking. Cold turkey works for some people, but just one less cigarette, one less drink, one less minute. If you're in the sales field and making phone calls just terrifies you, how do you break it down to very easy, very simple tasks? You know, thinking about this eliminating waste perspective. What can I do today to eliminate wasted money? It's like giving myself a raise. Instead of going out to eat 5 times a week, maybe I pack lunch. That adds up. $15 a day, maybe 20 times 5 times 52 weeks. That's like $4,000 a year that you would be saving. What are some things you can do today? Big steps don't work. It's the small steps. If you've ever watched any documentary about people climbing Everest, they break it down into the smallest steps. We've got base camp, and then I have 5 advanced camps. And then if you watch them on that last day to the summit, they are taking some of the smallest, slowest steps you can imagine. It's just very slow but consistent. So optimize your life. Make small changes every day. They will add up to transform your life into something that you couldn't even recognize or thought possible.